Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and I'm really pleased to welcome our newest global industry partner member, IBM, and also Jason Kelly, who is the Global General Manager for IBM Blockchain. So welcome to the IFBTA and welcome to a rainy day in Maryland.
It's great. Great to be here. Thanks, Rob.
So let me just try a sort of a real world scenario of maybe transition, because you're using the word transitioning and things are changing in the industry, how they look at technology, how they enable it. So we see some pretty large food and beverage companies today that traditionally were always using frozen product, deciding that they need to compete and they want to use fresh product. Now that has to create a challenge. It has to create a challenge to them, but it also creates a challenge for their consumers who may not traditionally think of them that way and have to feel a level of trust in that. Is there a real world example here of how somebody who may be transitioning in the industry and what they deliver and how they deliver, how they might use this?
So as we think about fresh, going from frozen to fresh, I don't know if you consume fast food. My kids love it. We think about burgers, and there's this fresh burger craze is going. Not to mention, things that aren't real meat. But when we think about fresh meat,
so there's, by the way, there may be a debate on what the definition of meat is. Okay,
and real.
Okay, well, real meat versus meat.
Right.
Okay, so
right.
Whole different story, right?
Yeah. However, so all of those questions come in of what's the source. But let's stay with the fresh part. Let's stay with that, because that was the question. And when now there becomes a standard, again, driven by the end user who says, oh, I like this thought of fresh meat because frozen might degrade quality. So now when you say that, there is that question, well, if it's fresh and it's never frozen, how do I know it's fresh? Now, aren't there chances?
Need visibility, right?
Right. So it changes again. The expectations have now changed. So then what you may expect is, wouldn't it be cool if I could reassure them that this isn't just fresh, but you can see that it was fresh in some way, shape, or form, or have confidence. This now, from the consumer end user demand, has put a challenge on that operator, because now the operator needs to see. So Golden State Foods, a wonderful company that supplies many of our fast food restaurants around the U.S. Golden State Foods.
They're a broad line distributor.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And so as a broad line distributor of many of the fast food restaurants, as well as coffee, Starbucks, and the like, McDonald's, they said, look, we need to supply this fresh product. We have IoT, another one of those acronyms we threw out, the Internet of Things. We have that so we can see certain things, but in supplying this fresh product to our different stores, our clients, how do we know what's the freshest? How do we know what's the best? How does that operator know, okay, first in, first out may not work, because that temperature control may have changed from point A to B to C to ultimately to the store. Now we've got a new challenge. A new requirement from the customer, new expectation, the end user.
Right.
And now we have that store operator saying, I'd really like to make sure I have transparency and trust in what's just been delivered. So if I could put that data in a form and format that allows me to now tie each step of the, we're going back to our earlier example.
Including back to the farm.
Back to the farm.
To look at the point of origin, right? Whether it's a coffee bean or whether it's meat, right?
Right.
Same thing, right?
Exactly.
So does that transparency exist today? Or
yes.
Is it going that way?
So does it exist today? Yes, you can do that. And Golden State Foods is doing that in their cold chain. And then as you look into some more inventive ways that we've done this with a group called Farmer Connect that works in the coffee business, where we now have as their first try, said, well, wouldn't it be nice if you could tip your farmer that actually farmed that bean? So tip my barista, your coffee barista, and I understand you do that on the side every now and then, is that in fact you can tip them. Well, how would you be able to do that? Well, you'd have to be able to trace back to that farmer. And now that is something that we just highlighted at NRF, in fact, and at CES as well.
The ability to actually give a tip to the person who actually produces the product in the first place.
That's exactly it. And we're doing this, with a level of visibility so that we start to now, and I think that as we think about the consumer, will appreciate that it's even more to say, wait a second, the technology exists and we can do this, across multiple industries. We think of Yara, one of the world's foremost producers of vegetables and produce, as well as a proponent for sustainability. As we were working with, they started with this thought of big data. How do we have a data platform that gives us trust and transparency in our products? And now, with this capability of blockchain, once they have that, how do we use this B word to help give trust and transparency to that data across all of the steps of the chain, of the value chain, so that the original farmer gets more benefit, more value, because they're only seeing, and on average, less than 10% of the revenue that's happening in that chain.
And it's a way for the consumer to directly be able to know where it comes from and show appreciation to those who are the micro farmers and the people that are providing this. And actually, when you think about the number of food and beverage operations that are, a farm to fork or using local people, it's a way to actually not just put it on the menu, but actually be able to see it.
Right. And I have to, take our hat off to, the International Food and Beverage Trade Association, because you are an existing network. And this is what we're building on here, because you talked about steps along the way. Well, it takes visibility across all of those steps, as well as someone who can give visibility to that, to say, look, here's an opportunity. And that's, other than us talking about it here, it takes that type of leadership in an industry in order to help bring about the change that the consumers are asking for.
Well, we appreciate that. But, when we look at our association, we think about, a lot of times, it's about actually connecting the suppliers with the operators and getting them to sit at the table together. Absolutely. Now, in this conversation, actually, this is a little bit different than most conversations we have, because the industry suppliers themselves actually should be taking advantage of this as well. You said earlier that today, is every point in the chain connected? No. Eventually it will be, yes. And I start to think about, what drives the actual end operator. Not all of them are big, so many of them have their point of sale, and then they have some sort of back office system. That back office system is doing inventory, ordering, and things like that. But very often, that back office system is not it may be connected to the broadliner to place an order, but it is certainly not connected all the way up the chain. And generally, the broadliner systems are not connected to the point of sale directly. They've got to go through a middleman. So it seems that what IBM is offering here in this is actually a solution that enables each part, including the other industry suppliers that are connected along the way, because you're not supplying all those applications, but you are supplying the backbone.
That's correct, and it shows the essence of what we say is that this is really, blockchain as a team sport. And so in doing that, it takes all of those players first to realize the value, to play together. Now, all of them don't have to play together initially, but the ones that want to get the value out of it will raise their hand, and that's where this comes together. I mean, so you called it out well. In each step, while they all want to see data and have wanted to see data over a period of time, it has been siloed. And now, if you think about your example, they can now provide value in different ways. They don't have to necessarily wait for their step in the supply chain, because if they have data, if the point of sale has data that can be shared further back in that value chain, now it can be shared in a trusted and permissioned way.
Right, so what's happening is that originally we had the siloed systems in the industry, for sure. Not everything was actually connected. Because of Internet of Things, the IoT, today we have the equipment itself, the whole kitchen connected to, what's coming out of the kitchen, to the whole piece, energy management, everything. And so it seems that what IBM's piece of this is actually to be that backbone and to pull all those pieces, disconnected pieces but are now connected, to pull them together and give somebody the ability to share that data, to use that data in a collaborative approach. Because you're not offering the strict solution. You're offering the backbone, and then I'm going to guess that somewhere in the service here, you're actually going to help them to figure out how to tie the solutions together.
Yes, and if the solution, if they don't have a partner, then we specialize in convening the right players. If it's something that we have on the shelf, they can consider what we have to put together as part of that solution. We consider ourselves as a general contractor of blockchain capability because we have those connections from end to end. And if we can continue to be the convener of choice and the convener of this new capability, then that's where we play.
Right. Well, listen, I think that, certainly this is a start of a much longer term conversation in the industry, one that we expect IBM will play a key role in. We're already aware that your engagement in the industry is going well beyond the IFBTA, but thanks to National Restaurant Association and other places that you can bring. Oh, well, CES. Right. CES seeing IBM bringing Food Trust there was something I wasn't expecting to see. So right. I think that the messaging is there, and we want to thank you for your support and welcome to the IFBTA.
Thanks, Rob. We look forward to doing lots of great things together.
Great. So Rob Grimes with the IFBTA, and it's been a pleasure to welcome IBM as our newest global industry partner, and also Jason Kelly, who General Manager of IBM Blockchain and Services and Trust, actually, to the IFBTA. So thank you.
Thanks, Rob.